Every single modern conspiracy theory about gray aliens, flying saucers, autopsies and underground bunkers and secret military bases in the Nevada desert can be traced back to one single dusty summer day in July 1947. Before July 1947, the term flying saucer barely even existed in the public lexicon. People were worried about the aftermath of World War II, atomic bomb tests, and building suburban houses. But then, a humble rancher in New Mexico went out to check on his sheep, and pop culture changed forever. Welcome back to Cosmic Clueless. Today, we are diving deep into the absolute holy grail of alien conspiracy theories, the Roswell incident and the birth of Area 51. We're going to look at what actually happened, what the newspapers originally reported, how the United States military pulled off the most legendary cover-up in human history, and what would happen if our unluckiest Stickman proxy was standing right there in the New Mexico desert when the sky exploded. To understand the chaos of Roswell, we have to set the stage. It is July 4th, 1947. A severe electrical thunderstorm is raging over the quiet desert town of Roswell, New Mexico. Lightning flashes across the dark sky, thunder rumbles through the canyons, and rain drenches the dusty soil. Out on the J.B. Foster Ranch, roughly 30 miles in Lincoln County, a local rancher named Mac Brazel hears a strange, deafening explosion in the middle of the storm. It sounds different from regular thunder. It sounds like a metallic shock wave tearing through the atmosphere. The next morning, Mac Brazel walks outside to check if his sheep survived the storm. But instead of finding broken wooden fences or muddy grass, he stumbles across a debris field spanning 300 yards wide. The desert ground is completely littered with weird, bizarre materials. There are long strips of lightweight metallic foil that spring right back into shape no matter how hard you fold or crumple them. There are strange, lightweight, wooden-like structural beams covered in weird, purple-colored symbols that look like ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. There are tough, rubber-like flexible sheets that cannot be cut with a knife, burned with a lighter, or punctured with a nail. Now, picture our stickman playing the role of Mac Brazel. He picks up a piece of this mysterious alien metal, tries to smash it with a heavy iron sledgehammer, but the hammer bounces off, swings right back into his face, and instantly flattens his skull. Classic stickman luck. Mac Brazel, thoroughly confused and a little freaked out, gathers a pile of this strange metallic debris, throws it in the back of his pickup truck, and drives straight to the Roswell Sheriff's office. Sheriff George Wilcox takes one look at the strange material, scratches his head, and immediately places a phone call to the nearest military installation, Roswell Army Airfield. Now, Roswell Army Airfield in 1947 was not just any random military base. It was the home of the 59th Bomb Group, the elite, top-secret military unit that dropped the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki just 2 years prior. These were the most highly trained, technologically advanced military personnel on planet Earth. They knew what weather balloons looked like. They knew what secret radar targets looked like. The base commander, Colonel William Blanchard, sends his chief intelligence officer, Major Jesse Marcel, to inspect the rancher's weird debris. Major Marcel drives out to the ranch, collects more samples of the strange, unbreakable metal foil and hieroglyphic beams, and brings them back to the base. What happens next is the ultimate catalyst for 79 years of UFO paranoia. On July 8, 1947, the Public Information Office at Roswell Army Airfield issues an official press release to the local media. The headline of the Roswell Daily Record screams in massive, bold black letters, RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. The news sweeps across the globe like wildfire. Radios around the world broadcast the shocking announcement. The United States military has captured an actual extraterrestrial flying disc. Millions of people panic. Telephones at the Pentagon ring off the hook. Newspaper journalists from London, Tokyo, and Paris start booking plane tickets to New Mexico. Human civilization is on the absolute brink of knowing the truth about alien life in the universe. But then, exactly 24 hours later, the military panics. General Roger Ramey, head of the 8th Air Force in Fort Worth, Texas, steps in and completely shuts down the story. Major Marcel is flown to Texas, placed in front of news cameras, and forced to pose next to a pile of cheap, torn rubber and tinfoil. The military issues a brand new official statement. Oops, sorry folks, it was not an alien flying saucer at all. It was just a harmless, ordinary weather balloon with a metallic radar reflector that drifted off course during the thunderstorm. The media buys the story. The public loses interest. The Roswell story fades into obscure history for over 30 years. But was it really just a weather balloon? Or did the government just execute the cleanest, most aggressive cover-up in human history to hide the fact that a starship from the Zeta Reticuli star system crashed into the New Mexico dirt? Let us look at what was really inside that crash site and what happened to the 4 little green Stickman alien pilots who survived the impact. For over 30 years, the official weather balloon story held firm. But in the late 1970s, retired Major Jesse Marcel, the very intelligence officer who handled the debris in 1947, broke his silence. In a series of explosive interviews, Marcel admitted that the material he recovered was definitely not from a weather balloon. He claimed the military staged those famous photographs in Texas with fake rubber debris to hide the real, otherworldly crash remnants from the global public. This revelation unleashed a tidal wave of whistleblowers, deathbed confessions, and leaked classified documents. Eyewitnesses began coming forward with horrifying, detailed accounts of what actually happened in the desert that night. According to these legendary conspiracy reports, the crash site at Mac Brazel's ranch was not the only crash site. A second, much larger site was allegedly discovered a few miles away, and at this second site sat the main body of the disc-shaped craft, cracked open, smoking, and embedded deep in the desert sand. Inside and around the wrecked saucer, military recovery teams reportedly discovered 4 small humanoid beings. They were described as being roughly 3 to 4 feet tall, with thin, fragile torsos, hairless, pale gray skin, large, oversized heads, and giant, pitch-black, almond-shaped eyes. 3 of the alien pilots were dead on impact. But according to local legends, one of the Stickman extraterrestrials was still alive, weakly breathing and clutching a strange metallic device. Now, picture our Stickman playing the role of this poor, surviving alien pilot. He stumbles out of his ruined starship expecting a peaceful first-contact handshake from Earth's inhabitants. Instead, a squad of heavily armed, paranoid 1940s military soldiers surrounds him, aggressively throws a black burlap sack over his oversized gray head, slams him into the back of an armored transport truck, and whisks him away to a top-secret medical facility. What happened to the bodies? This is where the infamous Roswell alien autopsy footage comes in. In 1995, a British video producer released a grainy black-and-white film claiming to show 1947 military doctors dissecting one of the Roswell alien corpses in a sterile underground bunker. On screen, scientists in thick rubber suits and gas masks cut open the alien's torso, pull out weird, slimy black organs, and peel back thick black lenses from its giant eyes. Let us put our Stickman back on that cold, stainless steel operating table. The military surgeon picks up a scalpel to make the first incision, but the scalpel slips. Instead of cutting the alien, the surgeon accidentally punctures a pressurized internal organ. The alien organ ruptures with violent force, spraying superheated, acidic green extraterrestrial slime directly into the doctor's face, dissolving his helmet, dissolving his head, and instantly turning the entire medical team into a puddle of smoking, bubbling goo. Classic alien biology. While the fake video was later revealed to be a clever, prop-filled hoax, the question remained, where did the Army actually take the real crash materials and bodies? According to former military personnel, the wreckage was immediately packed into crates marked with top-secret clearance tags and flown via B-29 bombers to Wright Field in Dayton, Ohio, specifically inside the infamous Building 18F, rumored to store alien artifacts to this day. But as the Cold War intensified and technology advanced, storing extraterrestrial tech at a standard Air Force base became too risky. The military needed a massive, isolated, highly restricted testing ground where they could tear down alien hardware, reverse engineer anti-gravity propulsion systems, and test experimental aircraft without a single civilian eye watching. Enter the ultimate secret playground. Area 51. Located in the dry, desolate basin of Groom Lake, deep within the southern Nevada desert, Area 51 was officially established in 1955. Surrounding the perimeter are heavy guard towers, motion sensors, infrared cameras, and armed, camouflaged patrols authorized to use lethal force on any trespassing stickman. But here is the massive plot twist that mainstream science eventually uncovered in 1994, when the U.S. Air Force finally released a declassified 1,000-page report titled The Roswell Report: Fact versus Fiction in the New Mexico Desert. The military revealed that the crash was indeed real, and it was indeed top secret, but it was not a standard weather balloon, nor was it an alien starship. It was part of an ultra-classified Cold War project codenamed Project Mogul. Project Mogul involved flying massive trains of high-altitude neoprene balloons equipped with ultra-sensitive acoustic microbarometers high into the stratosphere. Their secret mission? To detect low-frequency sound waves generated by atomic bomb tests conducted by the Soviet Union on the other side of the planet. When Flight Number 4 of Project Mogul crashed during a severe storm, the military could not tell the truth without revealing to the USSR that the United States was secretly monitoring their nuclear program. So they cooked up the cover story, accidentally mentioned a flying disc, and inadvertently created the biggest UFO myth in human history. But wait, does the Project Mogul explanation actually account for the weird hieroglyphic metal, the unbreakable foil, and the tiny gray bodies in the desert? Or was Project Mogul just a double-layered cover-up to hide what is really locked inside the deep underground vaults of Area 51? Whether you believe the official Project Mogul story or the alien crash theory, one thing is undeniably clear. Area 51 evolved into the most legendary, mysterious, and heavily guarded black site in modern history. For decades, aviation enthusiasts and UFO hunters stood on distant mountain ridges like Freedom Ridge and Tikaboo Peak with high-powered telescopes, hoping to catch a glimpse of strange lights hovering over the dry lake bed. They reported seeing triangular craft pulling impossible right-angle turns at Mach 20, glowing plasma spheres silently darting across the night sky, and strange aircraft taking off without any visible engines or exhaust trails. Were these actual alien flying saucers being test-flown by Air Force pilots? Or were they revolutionary, top-secret human aircraft like the U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, and the F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter, all of which were secretly developed and tested right at Groom Lake, long before the public ever knew they existed? The mystery reached an absolute pop culture breaking point in September 2019, when millions of people around the world joined a viral internet campaign called Storm Area 51, They Can't Stop All of Us. The plan was brilliantly ridiculous. Thousands of conspiracy theorists, meme creators, and UFO enthusiasts planned to gather at the desert gates, channel their inner anime heroes, and Naruto run past armed military guards to finally see the aliens. Now, picture our favorite stickman proxy right at the front lines of this historic desert raid. He straps on a tinfoil hat, throws on a superhero cape, and sprints straight toward the heavy metal security gates at top speed, yelling, "Free the gray aliens!" But the heavily armed security guards, known around the base as the Camo Dudes, do not use standard tear gas or rubber bullets. Instead, they push a big red button on a heavy armored vehicle, activating an experimental, reverse-engineered alien defense system. A giant, dish-shaped microwave cannon hums to life. The invisible energy beam hits our stickman instantly. His skin vaporizes, his body heats up like a hot pocket on a high-powered microwave, and in less than 3 seconds, he explodes into a tiny cloud of sparkling gray ash floating in the Nevada wind. Classic stickman military raid. But let us stop and ask the ultimate question. What if the truth about Roswell and Area 51 lies somewhere in the middle? What if the 1947 crash really was a top-secret atmospheric balloon from Project Mogul, but the massive media panic and urban legends gave the military the perfect opportunity to create a massive smokescreen? Think about it from a psychological warfare perspective. If you are the United States military building highly experimental stealth aircraft in the desert during the height of the Cold War, Having the entire world think that strange lights in the sky are just harmless little green men is the greatest free propaganda cover story you could ever ask for. Every time a spy satellite or a civilian sees a top-secret aircraft flying over Nevada, the government does not have to confirm new stealth technology. They can just sit back, let the yellow press run wild with alien rumors, and keep their real technological breakthroughs hidden in the shadows. But then again, what about the famous Bob Lazar testimony from 1989? Lazar claimed he was hired as a physicist at a sub-facility just south of Area 51 called S4. He detailed working directly on 9 saucer-shaped craft, describing how they were powered by a stable heavy element known as Element 115, which manipulated gravity waves to warp space-time. Years later, scientists actually synthesized Element 115 in a laboratory, giving conspiracy theorists around the globe absolute goosebumps. So, is Area 51 hiding flying saucers, autopsied alien corpses, and anti-gravity tech reverse-engineered from the Roswell crash? Or is it just a high-tech sandbox where military engineers push the absolute limits of human physics? The truth is out there, locked miles beneath the desert sand behind heavy blast doors, motion sensors, and deadly laser turrets ready to vaporize the next curious stickman who dares to knock. If you enjoyed this journey into UFO history, smash that like button, subscribe to Cosmic Clueless, and drop a comment below. If you broke into Area 51, what is the first thing you would search for? Stay curious, watch the skies, and don't forget your tin foil hat.